What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 20 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Archaon the Everchosen campaign. So as we saw last time, Archaon has acquired the Eye of Shirian, the fifth of the 6 treasures of chaos, counting Dorgar and the Mark of Chaos, the Super Mark of Chaos, the eternally burning Mark of Chaos that Archaon has, though I don't think it's actually represented in the game in any way. The set contains, okay, the set counts Dorgar, but it only counts the 5 treasures. And I don't see an eternally burning Mark of Chaos here. Wait, I see a regular Mark of Chaos. That's just the Chaotic Blessing. That's no different from any other undivided unit. Huh. Well, that's a little bit odd. I feel like Archaon should get a special passive for that to mark the 6 treasures. Maybe it's in his skill tree somewhere. Rule of Chaos is normal. I don't see it. Odd, but anyway, he has the Eye of Shirian now, and only the Crown of Domination remains, though out of all of them, I feel like the Eye of Shirian is the most useless, and Barrier is great, don't get me wrong, but at the cost of 16% ward save is still a little bit iffy to me. But anyway, Archaon's tough enough to be able to handle it, and this time around, we will be continuing on our journey. We will quickly confederate, or rather vassalize, a Goldtooth, but more importantly, Alethan Nar has arrived over here, jumping away from Blacklight Tower, despite the encroaching Norskins all around it, in order to fall right into the trap, I guess, of Sigvald and a Jaeger here, our fledgling Tzeentchian army, though it's got a little bit of work on it to do. That made not much eloquent sense. Anyway, before we get started, 2 notes this time around. First of all, the vote for the next campaign, which is going to be a Kislev campaign, is currently up and running in the community tab of the channel. Serena Katrin and Mother Astanka are both relatively neck and neck, or at least to a point that it could still swing either way at the time of this recording, so if you're interested in one or the other, do go on over and vote and such. And the other thing is, of course, the engagement. We are still in it for the hour-long episode this time around, though the likes are just barely making it over the last few episodes. We'll see if we can make it to Aluin's heights. But anyway, the offer does stand, 300 likes and 50 comments, and the next episode will be an hour long as well. Let's get started on this. Ooh, actually, you know what? Let's get started with Archaon first. Because I'm going to forget to do this. You, Marauder Horses, I would like you to become Knights of Chaos immediately. Ooh, it's almost free, although the upkeep ain't free. It's another minus 400 per turn. And you might as well become Knights of Slaanesh, which are the only ones we are missing. There we go, and now we have all types, and we're going to do one more type of regular undivided knights to have a few more of those in Archaon's army, and I like to see the Swords of Chaos leading a couple of other units. I don't know whether I'm going to bother making any of them lances, as I don't really see the need, but I guess we'll see. You know what, while we're at it, we could go for Chosen, once again, it's a little bit on the expensive side, but we gotta get it going somewhere. I'm going to say we do this. We'll do 1 Chosen with shield out front as the tip of the spear, and then we'll do 2 with great weapons. So I may change my mind exactly on the way that will go at some point. Damn, 570, you guys are expensive. Oh man. That's a lot more expensive. I thought they were like 400 something, but apparently not the case. Wait. Oh yeah, we got the plus 10% because of the Slaaneshi gift, don't we? Well, yeah, gifts of chaos tend to cut both ways. But anyway, Archaon, while you're here, quickly take Flayed Rock, would you? You cannot reach it in your stance, so you can go into regular stance, grab Flayed Rock, and force vassalize Goldtooth. Assuming they are force vassalizable. Razor Standard can go to the swords because they're going to be a little bit weaker than the great weapons. Like so. And oh my lord, the poor giants. Oh, wow, we got plenty of cash out of that. And... well, actually, they didn't have too bad of a... too bad of a garrison. Maybe I jumped on that auto-resolve a little bit too quickly. But at the same time, we got other battles to fight. Subjugate for now. Alright, there we go. Gulator Path to Glory unlocked, the other Gulator. You can go into Channeling Stance and you can move out. And you can get your Slaaneshi hero as well. I maybe should have checked whether he could have reached the place before fighting, but there we go. Now we have one of every type of hero, one undivided, one commander, and then one of every god heroes and one of every knight. As well, Archaon's army is coming together. Probably gonna get a few names in here in a little bit. Let's see, Azazel. Yes, but so between the episodes I also added two things that are going to cost us a little bit more in the way of cash. The Marquis of Masochism, Regiment of Renown of Keeper of Secrets, as an Azazel's army now, mostly because Siggy's army won't have too much room for demons as he's a little bit more Marauder and Chaos Warrior focused, and of course the Mirror Guard for Siggy himself, so, and both of these guys get something. Azazel, you are going to move out in raiding stance toward Dagrak Send. Sadly can't reach it this turn, but oh well, and ooh, Valky is revived. We'll have another contest between you two, plus some very solid defenders in the garrison of Dagrak Send. I'm excited for the fight. Arbal, you're supposed to join this army. The problem is, what do we get rid of? I guess we can get rid of one of the Marauders. Technically, we don't need the spawn of Slaanesh, but at the same time, we have a little bit too many in the way of Marauders anyway. And I'd like you to start racking up some XP while we fight, and ow. Okay, your army is not quite complete, but it's certainly getting there, and we're going to transfer most of the non-whip types towards Sigvald right later. Speaking of Sigvald, you have two things to do. First of all, you are going to, or actually Jaeger, you are going to summon a unit of Aspiring Champions for Sigvald. Sigvald, you're going to go talk to Jaeger briefly, and you're going to grab the Aspiring Champions, you're going to grab the Marauder Horses, and the Marauders of Slaanesh, and I guess temporarily the Exalted Demonettes will be transferring them over to Azazel, but at least this way the Tzeentch army doesn't need to move over there, and the two can just trade between each other. You're also going to need more Marauders of Tzeentch. But anyway, I would like you to leave this place like so. And do you need any levels? Oh, I just realized you got a Path to Glory. I forget, does Path to Glory take all your movement points? I really hope it doesn't. But you should be devoted to Tzeentch. You really, really should. Especially since we're gonna rack up some XP here. Now, what I don't remember is what I was going to do with you. I think I was just gonna go for Lore of Tzeentch because we have Kindle Flames, so we want to make use of that. So yeah, well, let's do this. Alright, and let's go. Okay, yeah, you didn't lose your points. Perfect. And let's see what you got in terms of your Path of Glory. You got Kindle Flame again. And... huh. I wish that didn't... that's the second time that's happened. I mean, we still get the free life leeching on top of the double Kindle Flame, but whatever. Gate of Tzeentch and Gehenna's Golden Hands. Pretty decent, though winning a battle against the demon race is relatively unlikely. I really don't like that particular path or whatever, because it seems to be a difficult time getting to it. Anyway, Siggy, I'd like you to move. I imagine Alethanar will run immediately. Yes, indeed, he will. Now we can go into channeling or summoning stance. We will still move Jaeger in to reinforce. And then we'll go. Alright, time to try out those Mirror Guard. Let's power them up with the Razor Standard as well. I mean, technically the Demonettes would probably be able to use it a little bit better, or possibly a little bit better, but nonetheless. We'll do that. We gotta watch out for those super-powered Shadow Warriors, as Alethanar makes them pretty darn insane, and they're already pretty darn strong. The High Elven Arrowheads are going to be annoying, but shouldn't be a problem as soon as we make it into melee. Away we go. Alright, well, being one of the older lords, it looks like Sigvald isn't much for the speeches either very well. You'd think Sigvald would actually be for the long speeches. A little bit surprising in that regard, but maybe it's a random, and well, I know that it's random, but we'll see what he says next battle. Either way, this is going to be his debut, as well as that of his mirror guard, so we'll see how they fare in this particular battle. I don't think either one of them will have too many problems, as they do have their gold shields and very heavy armor, though to be fair, even with 70% missile block, the Shadow Warriors are still going to be very much a threat to them. Still a very nice looking unit, and we'll see how many kills they get here, for example, compared to the unit of Exalted Demonettes, which are very glass cannony, but at the same time being a damage dealer of very decent effectiveness, and I would think they should be able to outkill them. But once again, we'll test it out. Anyway, the way that we are deploying here is thus. We have our reinforcing Tzeentch army who are going to hit one flank of the enemy. Four rather, but two separate groups of our Slaaneshi horses are going to get behind the enemy battle line, and then the main line will try to do its best to absorb hits, mostly because the Tzeentch forces obviously don't have much in the way of shields at the current time. Anyway, Mr. Sigvald's going to make his way into the foray directly and start his work on some of these Silveran Guard. He doesn't appreciate their... well, actually, maybe he might appreciate their silver armor. Maybe he goes for them specifically to try to be able to see his reflection as he is fighting them. And if he looks back, he can see his reflection in the mirror guard as well. It's all working out for Sigvald today. Anyway, obviously the Silveran Guard are very solid units, but they're not really a threat to Sigvald as a lord. And once he's bored of them, he can go ahead and deal with Alith Anar himself, scatter him in pieces like a leaf on the wind, you might say. Anyway, here come the Mirror Guard, who run at 54 speed. They're quite quick, which does make sense for Slaaneshi units. And we're going to help them out with those aspiring champions as well. I still find it a little bit strange that they never did variations of aspiring champions of Slaanesh and Khorne and yada yada yada. I mean, I feel like it wouldn't be very difficult, and especially considering they exist and the entire rest of the armies were made in such a manner, but oh well, whatever. Not a big deal. I suppose then they wouldn't be able to get all the various gifts of Undivided, but you could keep that to the Undivided units of aspiring champions. Anyway, here's how the battle is proceeding. We're trying to envelop the army as best we can, and we have taken a little bit of damage on one of the flamers here, who's lost about 40% or 60% rather of its HP to one of the enemy Shadow Warriors, and a little bit of damage on some of the horsemen who tried to move in, but were a little bit pincushioned for their trouble. Not to worry, we have plenty of marauders moving around the enemy flanks and just trying to get into combat to distract the enemies, because we will obviously win in melee. Speaking of winning in melee, Siggy has moved in, and that Sliver Slash is going to make quick work of Alith Anar, who's just probably not going to be able to handle him in a one-on-one. The stat... I guess because of the Shadow Blades being up, the stats are actually quite an interesting comparison, as Alith Anar has better melee attack and defense, but much weaker armor, a little bit weaker weapon strength, etc., etc. Anyway, those two can duke it out a little bit while we see the rest of the battle. Our Demonettes are also going to make their way into the fray, trying to move around and hit the enemy in the back. And dish out plenty of damage. Alright, charge into the back of those Silveran Guard as soon as we form up. And there we go. Herald them with a pink fire, just so we don't hit the Demonettes, who are fairly fragile. And there we go. This is about to get very ugly for those Silveran Guard, and you can see just how quickly they start to drop once they get hit like that, and immediately one or two of the units start to rout. But they rout into the path of another unit of Demonettes, which will continue ripping them apart with great ease. We have an Exalted, or not Exalted here, a Chaos Sorcerer fighting, and ooh, Alith Anar already defeated by Sigvald. The two don't have well, I would say Sigvald doesn't have particularly interesting animation, just sort of quacks away at the enemy. Leithanar jumps around a little bit fancier, but nonetheless, we'll seek him again as his faction will take a while to destroy, even if we missed the duel, as it were. But Siggy has other things to do, and so does the rest of his army. Run down all those High Elven archers and Shadow Warriors. There is a hero out here, but it's going to get burninated by the Flamers, simply because our Marauders and Demonettes and such would be very much under threat by the Flamers if we let them work on other units, like this, for example. And there we go, just like that, just quickly the enemy army will shatter, but Slaaneshi armies, especially fast-moving Slaaneshi armies, do have a tendency to close out the battle real quick. Alright, very nice, very nice. Plenty of cash for our trouble, though the one of the Flamers of Tzeentch took quite a beating, losing about half of their HP to one of the units of Shadow Warriors before we were able to close the distance. I really gotta be careful with these guys, as they are quite fragile. And, well, I mean, and the Shadow Warriors can dish out quite a bit of damage, 19k nearly, on that particular unit. Anyway, looks like we got 58 kills, one of the top performances out of the Mirror Guard, hardly surprising, though one of the Exalted Demonettes beat them in both kills and in damage, but considering they have more than twice the unit numbers and are really, really quick, that is hardly surprising. We also got that duel between Leithanar and Sigvald, and everything went well. We're going to take the money as we usually do. The army does get destroyed, though I'm sure he'll recover and probably bring even more of those Shadow Warriors to bear. Now I have to wonder, well, no, we still have to trade with Azazel, meet up with him and start working on the Dark Elves and the High Elves at once. I guess Azazel can move through the High Elves territory and Siggy can move through the, Dark Elves territory, and Siggy can move through the High Elves until they're both ready to hit the Shadow Legion. In fact, while we move through Leithanar's territory, maybe by then we'll have Valkia's army up and running, and we can have her take the Palace of Ruin and Kawark in order to get Belacor on the team. And then we can have Belacor do stuff down there as he likes. Anyway, the defeated Leithanar trade is kind of meh. It's fine. I do like the hero action success chance, I guess. If nothing else, a success chance, and ooh, another Hellfire Sword, nice. The success chance will be quite lovely. We got another Glittering Scales as well, which is also quite nice, and I think we're probably going to pop that into Azazel's army because we're stacking a million debuffs on his, and I'd really like to see what heights we can take those to. Anyway, Siggy, you're moving this way. Kudekai, you still have to join Siggy's army, and Jaeger, you're actually more or less good here, although you can still sort of approach this direction. You know, to summon some more Tzeentchian troops, you're still going to be our fire army, more or less. And just a bunch of troops to hold back the tide while the Flamers do the work, though we'll need more Flamers in here as well. Anyway, let's keep moving everybody else around. Gulator, you are now headed towards Throat the Unclean's last territory help it in the hopes of vassalizing him. We'll probably actually want to trade Plesk away, as we can't really protect it. Hopefully we can get something of use out of Throggy for it. Kolek, you're gonna get your second Shaggoth. And because we now have it, I guess we're gonna have to get rid of another one of these doggos, but they were only ever in here temporarily, so yeah. And get your second Shaggoth, and I'm just spending all the cash now. You're not gonna grab the Volary quite yet. You're gonna go near it, near enough to it, and grab the granite spikes and then go back to the Volary. I doubt that these guys will recover sufficiently, although we might be able to push them into a field battle, which I really would prefer. And ooh, oh no, oh, I have made a terrible mistake. I can't tell whether Kolek is in range of the Volary. He might not be. Well, I'm gonna hope he isn't, because otherwise this full stack could attack us and draw the rather elite garrison out, and that is going to be a problem. Another potential problem is if they leave the granite spikes in favor of attacking Blizzard Peak or something else, in which case we need to chase them down. I'm gonna tell you to attack this particular army, and hopefully you move over here and help us out with that, as I really don't feel like chasing these guys around. Anyway, Kolek, you were going through Chaos Vanguard in order to try to get these buffs. Let's buff you up in case and you have to fight next turn. Stench Ridden and that Locus of Fecundity is gonna be real helpful. And once again, I feel like your army is the only one that doesn't need Chaos Strategist, so we're gonna go Chaos Commander with you. Alright, let's keep on moving, try to get those other fights up and running. Kucha, you're taking Fuheng, although I believe that should be an auto-resolve. Yeah. Close, okay, it's gonna hurt our doggos in particular. Oh, wow, it actually hurt the troops more than the doggos, go figure. Sack it, I guess? Yeah, sack it, we're not holding on to it, we're gonna give it to the Dark Elves. They can enjoy it, and then we'll occupy it. Heal up and head to Wily Village. And yeah, you know what? You are going to need Chaos Strategist. And I still haven't decided between Raging Stalwart and the other stuff, so I'm not going to make that decision as yet. Now the enemy fire resistance, not actually particularly useful in this army as yet, though do Chaos Chosen, yeah, the Chosen will do fire damage, so it will be useful once the Chosen arrive on the field. But I guess we could go for Khorne Marks to get the Deathbringer ability, Seal of Savagery, more Khorne Authority, and the Icon of Endless War, Leadership and Vigor increase when in melee, and hey, Spell Resistance, plus Paragon of Carnage, more buffs for everybody around. And I guess we'll get Rampant Destroyer right after. The additional Khornate Mark will also help your army not cost as much, though it's only a slight decrease, and frankly, you're one of the relatively cheaper armies compared to a few of the others. Anyway, Kagan, you, sir, are supposed to move out, and move out you shall. Garrulus, you are going to continue following Kolek. Oh, I feel bad for Garrulus. He's been trying to reach him so long. He just wants to talk to them. Tech Thief, you... I mean, I guess you could just keep thieving. Yeah, they're very nice. You got a Chaos Steed, though we ain't paying for that. Not for a Tech Thief. There we go. And I believe... Oh, okay, no. Blue Scribes, you still have to sit here for a turn or two. We are going to get Village on the field next turn, so he's nearly there, and you can join his army. Asavar Trigox, you are an exalted hero of nothing. Open dies, and I do believe... Actually, we have two options. We could make you into an exalted hero of Nurgle and put you into Kolek's army as well, or we could pop you into Kagan's army. And the open dies thing is still useful. You have Eldritch Roar, Vigor loss reduction for chosen units. Yeah, that's pretty okay, undivided-wise. Though the open dice won't be doing you too many favors, especially once you reach high levels, but whatever. Anyway, Chant, you're still recruiting, and I do believe that's everyone. Before we jump to the next turn, though, I think it's time to get a few more names in here, or in several places. Let's do you. Chosen, the Eightfold Swords. Wouldn't work with the other Chosen because they have axes. Then, how about the Knights of Nurgle here? How about, let's see what we got here. The Festerfume Chargers. Alright. Not bad, I would say. Man, I have a lot of Khorne, or a lot of Nurgle names that I have yet to add. Alright, let's do one more knight here. Let's do the Knights of Slaanesh. How about you shall be the Craven Companions? Alright. I also need to name the Undivided Knights as well. And the two Chosen with great weapons, and I haven't named the Aspiring Champions. Alright, I'll do it later. Most of the name suggestions have been non-undivided units, and frankly, Chant's gonna have a full undivided army plus artillery. and like 5 Hell Cannons, so yeah, we're gonna need names for those guys as well, including all of his undivided forces. Anyway, there's a Forsaken of Nurgle here, unnamed, and you shall be the Blight Walkers. What do we have here? Spawn and Nurgle, Blister Boys, Spawn and Nurgle. Okay, these two are unnamed. Alright, so you can be the Flood. Alright, any other? Alright, the 2 Manticores. Very few names suggested for the various Manticores. You can be Foxmouth. And you can be Slime Trail. Alright, very nice. Very nice. Now this army is, well, if not quite fully named, it's certainly getting there. Let's get a few Khorne names now, since we did Nurgle. Where's the Khornate army? We have, let's see. Okay, these 2 Halberd units are unnamed, so let's name the Halberds. Bringers of Hellfire. And the Brass Phalanx. Although I still have no idea exactly how many of the units here are going to be of the Halberd variety. Maybe 1 more? We do need anti-large in this army, but they'll have to stay as Chaos Warriors rather than Chosen, so there is also that to consider. Anyway, let's do you, Marauders of Khorne. You can be the Lethal Company. And soon enough you'll be Chaos Warrior. In fact, we could do it right now if we wanted to, can't we? Wait, or would it be better to let you heal a little bit first or not? You have 80 troops here and you have 120 troops here. I'm not sure. I'm also not sure whether that actually makes any difference. I will think about it. Anyway, let's name a few more units. Let's say, Kolak, you're nearby, right? I'll name a few of you. Okay, neither of the Shaggoths are named, so let's give the Shaggoths some Shaggoth names. Cormac Moongorger. And you shall be... How about the Rumbling? I cannot spell anything today, can I? And how about one of the Manticores? I like naming Manticores today. Skykeeper. Alright, and you know what, since I've decided we are going to keep the trolls in here, I've grown attached to them. They've been in this army too long. You can be in the Jaws of Chaos. Alright, let's do a couple more names and then I'll stop for this episode, as I don't want to not waste too much time doing it. Although, to be fair, at the same time, I think I forewent like 3 episodes without dropping any names, so time to get a few in there. Anyway, you are going to get this Exalted Hero, Hudakai. You can be Edgelord. Oh, for the love of that won't fit. Okay. Okay. Hudakai. Make me respell your name. And if I spelt it incorrectly, it's your own fault. Alrighty. And okay, so you 2 are going to become Chariots of Slaanesh. One of you is already named, but you're gonna maintain that. And then the other one can be, how about... Joyriders, fantastic. Perfect for a chariot. Alrighty, and you know what? I guess Sigvald's army, you guys are going to be knights, not chariots, so we can be the Serpent's Blight, and hopefully you survive long enough to actually become the Knights that Blight, and then Cavalcade of Obscenity. Great names. Great names today. Alright, I think that is good enough. At least for now. Let's get to ending the turn. I think whereas there may be buildings, we'll do them next time. As in next turn. And just to skip on the admin in order to save time. The gifts are good though, so let's skip out to glory buildings, outposts, damaged buildings, outposts, no commandments. Okie dokie. Alright, let's see if I screwed Kolak over, and whether he gets attacked by multiple armies while Vigor is down. I should also probably declare war on some of these Orky factions in order to get the Khornates actually doing something here. because we're probably not going to march a full stack all the way into the Badlands. We'll let our allies deal with the Badlands instead. Valkia, you want peace? You shouldn't even be capable of making peace. Like, it should be physically impossible for your faction to do so. Alright, and it looks like I did not, in fact, screw Kolek over, which is great. Alright, allies beginning to build outposts. The village, the Cursling, is on the field, or ready to get on the field. And, oh, ogres, no. No. Maybe I should have killed you after all. Would we be able to... Okay, go into March stance. I think we won't be able to reach the Temple of the Elemental Winds before the ogres do. Might even lose Fuheng, but we can always come back for it. Yeah, that's a slight issue there. Also, we have the Crown of Kings and Death's Bounty. We'll deal with you in a little bit. Yeah, I really wanted to find out what exactly wood does for our faction, but I guess only the Slaneshi now. Okay. Archaon, you... Where do we send you? I would like to send somebody to deal with Khalida and to deal with the last defenders, so we can have Chant do it. For now, I think you're going to go over here, possibly stop on by at the Enclave here. Or not the Enclave, the Servants of the Conclave. Conclave, Enclave, whatever. Also, did I not tell you, sir, to occupy the Silver Pinnacle? Oh, you're not actually at war with them. Oh, well, you should be at war with them. Join war against the Lamian Sisterhood. We have to pay you 3,000 gold for this? Really, Astrogoth? Really? We gave you stuff. How dare you? You're a vassal. You shouldn't even... you should automatically be at war with whoever we're at war with. But anyway. Occupy this target. Mostly I want them to occupy it in order... Oh, speaking of occupied targets, you. Occupy this target. And we abandoned the Fortress of Vorag. Why is the Skaven corruption rising so much? Adjacent provinces? Oh. Presumably from Nagashazar and Desolation of Nagash? I would hope so. And why is the new Skaven plague there? I just abandoned that settlement last turn. Kind of concerning, but anyway, Archaon, you're going around, and it would actually be faster to go through the mountains? That's a shocker, but sure, go through the mountains. Go through the mountains. And I wonder... Aversion, strategic threat... Wait, other way around. Are they still gonna be counting as raiding them? Yeah, I think they are. Well, not much we can do about that. What I would like to see is whether you can make another tank. No, you can't make another tank. Okay, fine. You are then... I mean, for now you're going to travel around Archaon and continue leeching his XP, but he'll move in a little bit. As in move to do your own thing in the south on your own in a little bit. Your army's not quite ready. Speaking of armies, in a village. First of all, we're going to get you on the field. I'm going to see if the AI completely screwed over what it did here. It once again wasted points on Devoted to Chaos, and Vulnerable through Change is fine. Glean Magic, Pink Fires, it didn't do any of the unique stuff. Oh, you actually... Well, yeah, we knew about the spawn in the Forsaken, which is a little bit unfortunate since we already have a spawn in Forsaken army, but it's okay. So Parasite does nothing for those types of units. And frankly, the upkeep reduction isn't as big of a deal as the Perfect Vigor, which you don't apparently give those units. And if they don't have Perfect Vigor, your buffs are actually more likely than not weaker than the others. Well, I think I don't want to waste you being off-field for like another 5 turns, so we'll keep what you got. Though it's a little bit wasteful. It's okay. It's okay, Village. Blue Scribes, join Village's army, please. And Village, you can move into the Terror of Gorgoth. Next turn, you can summon some units and get to Zentrifying them ASAP. In fact, we just got the Arcane Branding Iron as well, so... And that's great, Azazel. 'Tis time for you to fight Valkia one last time. She's got a full stack now, so it'll be something of an effort to break through this, especially as now, unlike the last time we fought, we won't have access to our those Flamers of Tzeentch. And now we want both Chaos Vanguard and Savage Bloodlust. I am tempted to get Blissful Rapture since we spam it, though. You know what? No, we're gonna get Chaos Vanguard. We need a little buffs for the Hell Scourges, otherwise they're not going to do much, let's say. And in fact, I'm going to switch you to a Chaos Warrior of Slaanesh. It's going to go to Sigvald anyway, and at least this way you'll be helpful to some degree. More of a degree than you have any right to be. Let's see, what do we have here? You are on a Manticore, which is going to be very helpful against Valkia. And let's get you Blade Shield as well. You're probably going to help Azazel try to bring Valkia down. Hudakai. And what do you have here? Passive ability, Soul Feeder. A regeneration for you personally, which is fine. Speed and charge bonus for Hero's Army is not bad, and Lesser Doombolt seems kinda meh. Delusions of Grandeur gives 10% speed for the entire army, which is great, but not crazy useful for you in particular. And since you're gonna be on the War Shrine... I tend to favor Spellslinger, just because Lash of Slaanesh is a great spammable ability, but at the same time, most of the time, it'll be Azazel casting that. Healing versus more buffs for the army. Tons and tons of speed. Still inclined to go for the tons and tons of speed. Go for Lash of Slaanesh and Blissful Rapture for now, though. We'll need them. There will be piles of enemies to deal with. Anyway, that is that. If we take Dagrax and successfully Valkia, and we'll join the team, and then we'll be able to start on those Dark Elves. A valiant defeat as well. That's what I like to see. Let's pop the Gleaming Pennant on the Marquis of Masochism. We don't want it to lose leadership, and we'll have to protect it from Valkia, most likely. Gotta watch out for that Demon Shield. She don't like the Slaaneshi. But anyway, seems like a fun fight. Go.
And Prince stalks these realms once more.
Alrighty, here we go. The time has come at last to confederate Valkia, should we manage to take the settlement. There is going to be a heck of a lot of fighting as we try to make our way through the breach in the walls, but hopefully we can do it reasonably effectively. In fact, we've got at least one thing that goes really well for us at the start of the battle. The Shatterstone brings one of the enemy Chaos Warriors down to below half HP, which allows us to immediately summon a unit of Spawn right on top of them. This unit of Spawn will take the biggest of the beatings for now, while we move everybody else in, including more Spawn and the Marquis of Masochism, who, by the looks of it, just walks through the enemy gate. I think he was trying to attack the gate, but because of these guys' animations, they have a tendency to sort of move forward, kind of like Tomb Scorpions and stuff, and I guess that was also true for the gate. Anyway, let's get to work there, Marquis. See how much damage we can deal with you over the course of the battle. And ooh, it looks like an enemy Spawn of Khorne who looks just tiny by comparison, and moves in to try to attack you. I'm gonna try my best to put 3 of these guys into Azazel's army. And just so that the Marquis here has a couple of others, little coterie. There we go. I do like the animations with those clawed arms. Let's see. The enemy Spawn has taken about half damage and is in Rampage, and we've got, let's see, 4.8k damage on you so far. Not bad considering the battle's just begun. We're a minute in, and our units are only beginning to stream into the city. The second breach in the wall has been opened due to Shatterstone, and everybody's moving on. And in the meantime, over in the skies above, we have the advantage now as Valkia is alone, but Azazel has brought a friend to play as the exalted hero of Undivided, because they have Manticores, can actually support us. Which is nice, because there's absolutely no way that Azazel could handle Valkia in a one-on-one. Maybe if he just cast all the most powerful spells he had access to, like if he was a very high level and would use Phantasmagoria and stuff like that, but even then, it would be quite tough. As he's facing off against one of the stronger fighty lords, and yeah, even with the Manticore, he would have a little bit of a tough time here. Fortunately, though, because of all the debuffs, Acquiescence and Poison, and Helm of Discord, I believe, and Tormentor Sword, all that will allow them to bring Valkia very low. Not down, she's going to try to run away, and I don't know if these guys can catch her, but they did at least manage to pull off the win there. In the meantime, the rest of our forces are moving into the city, and it's a good old-fashioned brawl. Khorne versus Slaanesh, the two very much enjoying the state of affairs for very different reasons. And ooh, the Sorcerer of Slaanesh looking pretty darn good. Damn. Now I'm going to wonder whether we should put you on the war shrines. Yeah, but we have to put you on a war shrine, don't we? These guys get the they get the Mortis Engine effect around War Shrines, where they don't on their steed, even though they look pretty good leading the army like this. Anyway, more of our units are making their way in, and it's not just Hell Scourges, but regular sword and board type units of Chaos Warriors as well, or Chaos Warriors of Slaanesh to be specific, and we're having a little bit of an easier time around this portion of the battlefield, or this breach. Here we have Chaos Knights, and our forces are completely surrounded. We're going to try to make our way a little bit through the Chaos Knights with the help of our Keeper of Secrets. But we do have to be careful with it because it's down to about half HP, so there's a decent likelihood that it'll take more damage. That said, it does have mass, it does have speed, and it does have maneuverability, so we can move it wherever we please, despite the enemy trying to get at it. Slaaneshi giggle. Anyway, I'm gonna have to keep making our way up this hillside here, and it'll be a long time coming. We've also moved the Sibilant Slaughtercade in to help out. Some Lashes of Slaanesh are going to continue to drop down upon the enemy, as well as, I think that might have been a Rod of Torment, and we have Sailing Overhead hits from the Marauders of Slaanesh. I believe Valkia has been either escaped or brought down, but we will see plenty of her from the, well, when we get her own army, so not super concerned about that. Sacrifice gets activated by one of our Marauders, and the Marquis moves back in. Nice to have one of these ultra-expensive demon units available as well, and we have Azazel fighting fancy in here as well. If nothing else, he has a lot fancier moves than Sigvald does, due to Sigvald being an old lord without updated animations. So Azazel gets to feel superior about that. Well, and, you know, defeating Sigvald. That works too, I guess. Anyway, continuing our way up the hill, we have most of the enemy Marauders at the very least breaking on this side, but the enemy Bloodletters are still holding and will hold to the last as well. They should, but with the magical damage both from Azazel and from the Marquis, we shouldn't have too much trouble here. Out here, it's a little bit more difficult. The Chaos Knights continue to hold, especially with those Chaos Warriors of Slaanesh. We continue dropping periodic Overcast Lashes of Slaanesh on the enemy for that little bit of extra armor piercing, but yeah, it's definitely taking a while to break through. But I appreciate it. Valkia's last stronghold damn well better give us a good fight before they confederate. You gotta outfight them to make them agree to the Confederation, which is the most appropriate of Khorne. Might be neat if you had to like outsmart Tzeentch and out something. Nurgle, I don't know. Out Jolly or out Despair, I don't know. Nurgle's kind of either way. And I'm just getting distracted by the spectacle of the melee slash brawl here. Anyway, continue making our way up, and Marquis out over 100 kills now, though we had to move Azazel over to this side, and he's damn well helped clear the enemy defenders. Nice hit. Damn, this guy lost both of his arms to that hit from the Exalted Hero and the Manticore, and we are finally through, which means these guys are running. We're going to give chase to them a little bit. A few more enemies holding up there, but it looks like it'll be this side now where we have to break through. There we go. And seeing a little bit of that air from the Sibilant Slaughtercade knocking units down into the press there would be great to see units sort of like spearing other units that get knocked down. I also see the glow of the Shadow Sorcerer out here, and oh wow, hey, those eyes are really glowy. Oh, I didn't notice that the Shadow Sorcerer's eyes glow this much. I think it's because they're a sort of white-blue, and that it makes it much more visible than some of the other sorcerer glows. Man, where are you? I mean, yeah, your eyes glow, but they're through your helmet, which doesn't make it as crazy looking. Anyway, looks like everybody's having a fun time. Just gotta get through a few more of those Chaos Warriors, and I do believe the battle will be ours, and if we have out-brawled Khorne, I mean, what more could they ask? And there is a little barricade out over on this side. Is this a barricade? Yeah, it's a barricade, not a platform. So it's going to take a while to break through. We're going to start on that while the Javelins go for the Chaos Knights, particularly this one Chaos Knight, who's not having the best day. But at the same time, he could take a lot of Javelins before taking any damage there. And these guys are still holding. We do a little bit of spin to win from the Marquis. Yeah, that's a different type of spin to win from the Sibilant Slaughtercade. Still got to get a couple more chariots into this army, because I do want chariots in at least a few armies. And another sacrifice comes in from those Marauders. Appreciate that ability to help everybody hit a little bit harder. Melee attack plus 30. After all, I think it's for 30 seconds. Which ain't too bad at all. Alright, and it looks like these Marauders have finally broken. The Chaos Knights are in the middle of shattering as well, and only one unit remains. An unbreakable Chaos Spawn to deal with. And there we go, everybody was getting in the Marquis' way, and we'll have the Sorcerer and the Keeper of Secrets and bring this last unit down. Ooh, wow. Hey, certainly sent you flying. Did that kill it? No, it just sent it really, really flying. Damn. I always get surprised when I see a bigger unit like Spawn get knocked really far back, but it does happen. I especially didn't expect the spawn of Khorne to get sent that far, compared to like a regular spawn, which are much smaller. I wonder what the mass is of the spawn of Khorne. 4,000. What about you, sir? Marquis, if I can just see ya. 4,000. Oh, they have an identical mass. Oh, interesting. Really? Well, either way, identical mass or not, it looks like the enemy's spawn will be the worse for it, and Valkyria's last fortress falls and becomes ours. Ooh, alright, very nice indeed. We made our way through a Khornate stronghold the old-fashioned way, taking the walls more or less by storm, or I guess going through the walls and cutting down everything that stood before us. Of course, Valkyria did give us quite the show and badly damaged both our Exalted Hero and Azazel, but at the end of the day couldn't contribute to the rest of the fight, which was great. And the debut of the Marquis of Masochism got it to 31,000 damage and 193 kills. It also took the most damage, but that is by and large because of its animations that sort of force it into the enemy, deeper into the enemy formation, as a Slaneshi giggle does warrant. But that doesn't work so well in Siege situations, as obviously the unit then gets trapped and hit by a lot of enemies at once. Should be a little bit better on the field, and either way, that's still 31,000 damage and much more than anything else. Sibilant Slaughtercade also did surprisingly well at nearly 15k, and it was kind of stuck in melee rather than doing any charges for most of that battle, so fairly impressive. One of the two aspiring champions at 16k damage, not too bad there. And, nearly 10,000 damage on the Pillarman. Surprisingly decent for the Hell Scourges. Lastly, 68.6. You gotta be kidding me, 1,000 damage on Azazel. Great damage, I won't deny it, but just a little bit short, sir. I guess we could round up, but anyway, nice. 48,000 on the Chaos Sorcerer. That's probably because of the Penumbral Pendulum more than anything else, as I only cast a couple of lashes. And yeah, Azazel got most of his damage through lashes, whereas you did through the other thing. But anyway, a very nice fight. We are going to enforce Confederation. Beautiful. And we got ourselves another Talisman of Preservation out of that as well. These guys don't have too much in the way of territory, and ooh, well, if it isn't a full stack. I guess we could loop around like this and meet Siggy in the middle. We'll have to not attack Nagaron itself, which is going to be kind of an annoyance, but what can you do? And we still will have a decent amount of time to wait until Valkia is on the field. 5 turns, but when she is on the field, we'll definitely send her for some good fighting as well. Plus, I wanted a Cornate/Juggernaut army, a Skullcrusher army, and we're definitely going to make sure that Valkia gets such. You leveled up, but I guess we can also do that later. Let's march stance you out and start moving you this way towards the Altar of Ultimate Darkness. Actually have to wonder whether it would be better to move it this way, because then we'd be able to raid through Harkaldra on the way to the altar, and then hit Vegmorless Poison Blade afterwards. Hopefully that'll work. And plus you're healing up fairly nicely, Azazel. Siggy, you, I guess, will do sort of the same thing, wherein you will raid through this territory as we move through it. And we have to get the Edgelord in your army as well, but please don't do the thing with Kolek, or the same thing where you can't reach him. Hopefully, and we can basically ignore the Great Arena and the Chill Road and Grand and allow Jaeger to take them, so we can move past them with Siggy and have him maybe attack Harkaldra or Ragdogorge or something at the same time. I'll have to figure that out. Or maybe even move him all the way down to Hag Grief. But yeah, Nagaron, things are about, well, things are approaching, let's say. Also, you. Get more Marauders. We're definitely going to need those. Going to be a while. Or is it going to be a while? Let me just see here. I'm going to encamp. Not gifted units, but these units. All Seeing Eye. 57 now. Next turn we'd be able to unlock another Flamer, which ain't bad. You can then mark up these guys and Zinchify them, if you please. Let's do 3 Sword and Board and 2 Spears for the flanks. Although, by and large, we'll be using a lot more of the halberds. But anyway, you can move here, and I guess you will be occupying Grand. The raiding ain't worth much, but it'll also reduce the upkeep of the armies. We're also going to need another Chaos Sorcerer of Tzeentch in this army. And wait. We have a Tier 4 Warriors Hall here. Ooh, that also means another Exalted Hero. Doubtless one of said Exalted Heroes will have to go into Valkia's army, though I guess we can wait on summoning them, although I guess it doesn't really matter because, yeah, we'll see. We'll do another Chaos Sorcerer, again of Tzeentch.
Agent of Change.
I guess I'll have 3 Chaos Sorcerers. Oh, and we'll need an Exalted Hero of Tzeentch as well. Alright, fine. Well, not of Tzeentch, you know what I mean. Open Dies or Evil Eyeball. Sounds kind of Tzeentchy to me. You know what? I like that. Iber Doomheimer, you can join the Tzeentchian army. All right. Also, we have aspiring champions in a bunch of armies. I'm gonna need names for aspiring champions specific to their gods, as in Tzeentch aspiring champions, and Slaaneshi aspiring champions, and Divided aspiring champions, etc., etc. Anyway, you will be joined by another Chaos Sorcerer, and the type will be metal. Just to double check that there isn't another Tzeentch one available, but no, there is not. Let's do... I guess it doesn't really matter, does it? Alright, and then we're gonna all have you all join this army. Looks good to me. Anybody else? Gulator, how close are you to the Hell Pit? Too close for their comfort, I think. Wait. Did Throg's army die? Did he sack Hell Pit? No, he's right here. He is going to try to move past Kislev to go to Fort Jakova. Okay, sure. Sure. You have one settlement remaining, which means Gulator, you are going to be taking the Hell Pit by storm. It should be a pretty fun time. Do they have Warp Bomb available to them? They do not. Well, isn't that lovely? Not so lovely for them, I imagine, though. Alrighty, well, we're gonna level up, we're gonna do whatever else we need to do for the rest of this turn, and then we're going to hit them where it hurts. Blight Boil, you know what? Could be useful in this particular battle. And I guess we'll go for Arcane Conduit as well. You are a caster, good sir. Hordred Demon Tamer. I believe I did request names for him, because Demon Tamer didn't quite seem right here. Hordred of... For the love of... Hordred of the Foul Feast. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Hordred of the Foul Feast. Alright, there we go. I believe that one was by far the most upvoted of the suggestions there. Anyway, you can have Blade Shield, I guess. You're still always in the thick of things, but at the same time, I've never actually seen you take really any damage, regardless of being Gulator's bodyguard. But nonetheless, Blade Shield is still the best of these. Although I suppose for Nurgle heroes or Nurgle army adjacent, whatever, units in particular, HP does pull more weight. Anyway, Kolek. Aha. Okay, good. Okay, this worked out. You're going to auto-resolve Granite Spikes. I'm going to hope that this guy... Yeah, he can't reach Fortress of Eyes, which means it'll be a simple matter of auto-resolving this, and you can have that, I guess. I think so. And then ooh. They're gonna be upset about us sacking this, but... Oh, can we still move? I think we can. Sack it. Yeah, okay, I was a little bit worried there. And hello, an Axe of Corn. Augment base weapon damage up to 25% and up to 25%. Well, we all know who's gonna get the Axe of Corn. Alright. Navolary is next on the menu, but we will not destroy them. We're going to allow them to keep them. A, because the drill is not something that's buildable to us, and they can keep relatively strong. And A, Garrulus will finally reach Kolek when he gets the Volary, though alas, it'll be next turn. And just in case, we'll also put Kagan. I mean, you can't reach this, but... Actually, I'm a little bit concerned. If Zatan revives, what if he could? Because there's no way this place is defending itself. Nonetheless. You're going there, Kagan. And you are going to need more various types of stuff, but we won't waste money right now, because I don't want to. Alright, we're running out of time very rapidly. In fact, we're basically out of time, but I spent a lot of time naming things this time around, so I think we're going to hit the Hell Pit and get ourselves another lovely battle. Go, Gulator. I have full faith in you. Man, I always look forward to the start of one of Gulator's battles because of his speeches, whereas half the other lords are just like "K" before the start of the battle, or something equivalent. Anyway, we head directly towards the enemy. Our two Manticores is going to send some rats flying off the walls, specifically those rats that are of the Death Globe and Poison Wind variety. Don't want them hitting our units as we are on the approach, as they did hit the Frolicking Bubonicers a few times with those Death Globes, but and the Frolicking Bubonicers have suffered quite a bit of punishment throughout this campaign. Anyway, a Pestilent Breath comes down upon us as we make our way into the settlement, though curiously they tried to use it on a unit of Spawn of Nurgle, and I don't imagine that was a particularly good use of it. Gulator has been stopped outside the enemy settlement for a little bit as a unit of clan rats spawned directly on top of him, but I think he's perfectly fine with that. They're not really a threat to him, War Shrine or no. He doesn't need Horde Red to protect him from a pile of clan rats, especially as he does have his own pile of Forsaken, and they're just that much better. Anyway, the Forsaken, speaking of, and the Spawn are making their way into the enemy settlement. The enemy will counter us with a Doom Relay, Hellpit, Abomination, as well as a couple of Mutant Rat Ogres running around. But Gulator now has Blight Boils available to him, and a ton of additional damage. Whenever it looked like that Manticore got hit by it, he's like, ah! Oh, that was great. That was great. And ooh, somebody's gonna have a very bad day. But anyway, the Blight Boil hits the enemy, and I'm sure did plenty of damage. We had to keep it away, of course, from our own pile of Forsaken. But Gulator is already up to 181 kills and 31,000 damage from that one, I believe, non-overcast spell. Anyway, just like the battle against the Fortress of Khorne, we have to make our way slowly, or at least relatively so, through the settlement with a good old-fashioned brawl through the breaches. And I always enjoy a good brawl through the breach. Too bad the enemy isn't really fighting up on top of the walls, as well as we did send a few of hey, none of that, please. We did send a few of our Forsaken up there, but that's okay. We can fight down there. Alright, and the rest of the Forsaken are still piling into the city. And soon enough, we will be able to outnumber the rats, and that's not what the rats want. I'm a little bit surprised that there's only a single Hellpit Abomination in defending the Hellpit. I feel like at the max level, I think it's tier 5. I feel like I should have like 4 Hellpit Abominations or something, since they do have a tendency to make them there. Should have plenty of them available. Anyway, Gulator is finally into the fray, a little bit closer to his minions, and can heal them with his War Shrine, and be near to the deaths of enemy entities, which will power up his healing capabilities. Otherwise, these Spawn are looking like they are doing pretty good. We're by and large ignoring the Hellpit Abomination simply because it has regeneration and a ton of HP. It's almost like a little bit of a taste of our own medicine in many ways, as it's similar to a Nurgle single entity. Anyway, Miasma of Pestilence periodically come down upon the enemy rat blobs. It doesn't really matter over much on the Skaven Slaves and Clan Rats. But for the Storm Vermin, and for the Rat Ogres and Hellpit, it'll at least debuff them. And it looks like the Hellpit wants to go after Gulator, who is tall enough to bonk any one of its heads, like playing Whack-A-Rat with the Hellpit. And it should be a fun time for him, though of course once the enemy Mutant Rat Ogres are dead, we'll simply send Horde Red and the Manticores to bring down the Abomination. Alrighty, speaking of bringing the enemy down, it looks like Clan Rat numbers and Storm Vermin numbers are rapidly dwindling here. They're having a pretty bad time dealing with the piles of regenerating Spawn and the piles of armored Forsaken as well. Over on this side, we can see enemy hitting us with a few Plague Claw catapults, but we made our way through the enemy, or will be making our way through the enemy gate. And sending some Forsaken to deal with them. Not too much in the way of trouble there. And it looks like, Hordred has taken some damage. I think this particular battle might actually be... Wait, let's see the gate health. Gate health's at 30,000. Odd. something went different here, and despite the fact that the gate health is normal, this particular battle changed from the way that it was when I played it. The doggos, when I played it, broke through this gate, and you can see that they damaged it fairly heavily. Oh no, the gate has 30,000 here, but 16. It probably had 16,000 when I played it. I just didn't check it. Yeah, so this is a broken settlement battle, but we used like 90% of our army that were sent through the breaches, so by and large it should still function very similarly to the way that it was supposed to, and I imagine even with Hordred taking damage here, he will actually just get healed up by the nearby presence of Gulator. So just a little bit more work and the enemy, I'm sure, will get mowed down. Hordred's moving further afield, and there's a Plague Priest. Yeah, so when I played it, this Plague Priest fought here with a pile of clan rats rather than together with the Abomination, but that's okay. Looks like some Storm Vermin are trying to escape from Hordred and his Great Axe there, while we continue working our way through the enemy, and I guess with the help of the Plague Doggos, it might actually kill a little bit faster here than when I played it, so not necessarily a bad thing. More clan rats, but now they're getting surrounded, and once again, the Skaven don't want to be the ones outnumbered. And I see the regeneration activating on the Helpit Abomination, which I do believe means it's ready to go down. And it's also reached its healing cap, completely surrounded by spawn, sort of horror versus a type of a horror as well. Horrors on horrors, though not the Tzeentchen kind. And the Helpit Abomination will drop, though they would fit in nicely with Nurgle armies as well. I think if we are going for Skaven units for Nurglish armies, it'll probably be a mix of Plague Claws and Poison Wind, Mortars, or Globadiers. Anyway, looks like that enemy little unit, that little enemy Plague Priest is broken and stuck. There are still more enemies working their way down to us, but our beachhead is looking pretty darn solid at this point. I thought that was one of our units running away, Stormvermin. Yeah, 'tis not. Alright, enemy drops a clan stone. I guess there is a benefit to that the enemy gets out of us being blobbed up like this, so that they can hit us all with the clan stones. I just don't think they're going to be helpful enough to make a difference. The rest of our units are going to now start separating themselves, some to move over here, go after the assassin, whatever other enemy lords remain. And, yeah, so see this unit? This unit is stuck here. This didn't happen when I played it, but it's okay. A unit or two acting a little bit differently in this particular battle due to the broken siege isn't too bad. Yeah, that's at some point the gate health bug that causes this does get fixed. And I got a little bit complacent. This is a little bit my fault in the sense that I didn't even check this time around, otherwise it probably would not have made this a cinematic battle. But I think it still works in this particular case. I mean, we still got plenty of good shots, even if it turned out a little bit different at the end of the day, and by the looks of it, we're still very much winning. Anyway, most of the enemy units over on this side have broken. These guys are kind of just standing still, and I fear that the rest of the battle, let me just see here. Yeah, I fear that the rest of the battle is going to look like this, as I think the rest of our units at this point won't get any more moves. Yeah, there we go. Suffice it to say that the rest of the battle is generally would have continued, and the rest of these units would have moved their way up here and cleared the rest of the map, but there were barely any rats left anyway, so we still carry the day. Odd though it may have been. I guess the Chaos Gods lent their corruption to this particular replay. Alright, very, very nice. And with the addition of Blight Boil, Mr. Gulator has gotten all that much scarier. 116, 17-ish, 1,000 damage, 874 rats and destroyed. But generally speaking, we got pretty big numbers on everybody. The spawn hovering between 200 and 300 on every single unit, with the 343 on the failed experiments and taking the top, breaking out 101 kills on the Putrid Plague Pups, 199 on Slime Trail, though Poxmouth was closing in on the distance as well. 238 kills on the Blightwalkers as well. Very nice. Very nice indeed. Lots of great work to everybody out. 330 on the Demon Spew, but them being a regiment of renown, it does make sense. And still the Frolicking Bubonikers have not been destroyed yet. No matter how hard they try. But anyway, with that, we will subjugate throughout the Unclaimed. And we've got ourselves another little nice faction. And do these guys have a weapons burrow? They do have a weapons burrow / weapons arsenal, generally speaking. That means we have Gisele's warp fire throwers and poison wind mortars. And the poison wind mortars in particular will be a very nice addition to some Nurglish armies. Alright. I can't believe none of the other Skaven factions that we have had a frickin' weapons burrow. It's infuriating, but oh well. At least we got this one now, and now we need to save Festus. Is this his last settlement? Oh wow, yeah, he is in trouble. He's got 2 settlements, and the Brass Keep is under siege as well. We gotta get over there. Might have to go through Azag to do it, as he's the one at war with Festus, but I'm certainly willing to do that. Anyway, obviously we're out of time, and I'm gonna call it here. Pretty eventful episode. We've confederated Valkia, we've vassalized Throt and Greasus, and we've got Village on the field as well, plus we've added 1 million names to the stuff, and we're rocking quite a bit of money, but I'll spend it between the episodes to save on admin time. Next time, we march towards Greasus, we march towards Malekith and Nagaroth, and Nagarond rather, and hopefully maximize our 2 Slaneshi armies as they get stronger, get the Tzeentch army Tzeentching as it's nearly ready to do so, and get the second Tzeentch army up and running. Still got to get another Khorne army up there, our 2 undivided armies, one with full black armored regular undivided troops, and one with a mix of all the gods' troops. All still got to get to work, and yeah, lots more armies to try, damn. Well, we got time. This campaign is looking like it's gonna be gonna go for a while yet. Anyway, stay tuned for more Archaon. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.